The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Don't freeze.
I never freeze. What happens now determines what happens to the rest of the world.
So Monday, I had the opportunity and the privilege of going to a press screening of Black Panther, and it was an experience. Before I go any further, there are no spoilers in here. As much as I want to tell you about it, you have to experience yourself. I will not give you any spoilers. I will be speaking with my co-anchor from the 4 o'clock show, Like It or Not, with Benjamin Dixon and Rebecca Azor. Rebecca will be joining me momentarily, and we'll discuss the movie. Because it actually has so many themes, the themes of the movie, I don't think we give anything away by talking about the themes, particularly those themes that intersect on the thing, what I've talked about on the show a bit lately, particularly with identity, where we come from, Africa being our home or not being our home, America being our home, our responsibility to each other. Those are the themes in the movie. And before I go any further, a very special thanks to April Rain of April on Twitter. She reached out to me with the press tickets and made sure that I got to go and had a ticket for Rebecca. And we met up with a friend here in Atlanta, Torrin Walker. We had an amazing time. So special thanks to her for making that happen. And so let's get into the conversation. If I were to be completely honest, the biggest emotion that I felt in this movie was a deep, profound sense of sadness, almost to the extent of being mourning, because there in history was no Black Panther who was there to protect the people and the resources of Africa from colonizers. And as you watch the movie and you watch it through my lens, you think about, man, the possibilities for a continent and the many nations with so many vast resources if they had not been plundered by colonizers from across the globe. That was the very first feeling and the deepest regret that I had. It's almost painful to watch the movie from that perspective, because you realize how much was taken from that continent. How many, not only just in human resources, but in terms of resources in general, wealth, minerals. I mean, just the vast resources of Africa were plundered for hundreds of years. In fact, it's still being plundered. I did a podcast some time ago about the Congo that is sitting on $7 trillion of ore and precious minerals. And that is currently being plundered by neocolonialism. It's happening right now as we speak. And so that grim reality takes a little bit of the joy away from the fantasy of watching this spectacular movie. I mean, shout out to Ryan Coogler, Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita, the entire cast and crew. It was an amazing movie. I'm taking my 5-year-old daughter and my 7-year-old son and my wife. We're going to go see the movie because it's an experience. There are themes of representation in that movie, and we'll talk about that. But I just, the grim reality, it is so heartbreaking when you think of what colonizers did to the globe and, the society that we could have had it not been for the pilfer and plundering of that great continent. So I'm sorry if I started off sad. I am still excited about the movie. I promise you, I'm going to see the movie at least 10 times in the theaters, and you should do the same. The action is nonstop. The writing is spectacular. The plot line is wonderful. It actually, it's a great plot line. It's a great plot line, and it's not really, in the sense that hero stories are predictable, it has a little bit of unpredictableness in it and a little bit of despair. and the genuine concern that the hero may not win. I mean, how, everybody knows going into a movie that the hero is going to win, right? I think that's fair. That's not a spoiler. That's not a spoiler at all. But you actually had the fear and the sensation that the hero of the story may not win. And then underneath that, you had the complex dilemma of the villain may have been right. Rebecca Azor.
Hey, everybody.
This is my co-host. She's here with me to record this. You went with me to see Black Panther. We're going to do it without any spoilers, right?
I went with you, or did we go together?
We went together. Okay.
I like that
That's
better.
fine. Same difference in my world. Same difference. But anyway, you're welcome.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, right? No, okay. No, that's not the point. The whole point is I was just talking to the audience about I felt sad in the movie. I felt sad because there is no Black Panther that protected Africa, and we just, Africa just got raped by colonizers. But outside of feeling sad, the movie was freaking awesome from beginning to end. What was your first impression?
With me being Haitian, I always have to say that. Nobody knows in your podcast, hey, y'all, I'm Haitian as hell. But listen, when I got in there and I, seeing the culture of it all and seeing how much culture goes into the African-American community, how much culture goes into, the Haitian, I just saw it all, right? And I absolutely felt like these people were my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the people in the movie theater around us and the people in the movie itself,
Both.
the characters. Yeah. I felt sad. I felt happy. I felt angry. I felt disturbed. And I just felt at one point, did we really need the token white man? That's how I felt. But then I understood kind of why he was important for the movie.
Yeah, so there is a token white man, and okay, so
no spoiler alerts.
No spoilers, but I do want to go back and talk about why you felt disturbed. But I did feel like there was absolutely no need for it. And actually, I think he wrote it that way to make you feel like when white people spoke up in this movie, it was like, why are you talking?
Yeah.
We don't even really need you here right now.
So we're just going to, because we don't need you, but we're going to make sure that you're a pivotal part somewhere in here.
So he wrote them in anyway. It's funny, you call him a token white man. He actually played in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. So they kind of
What, the all-white movie? That no one cared that was all white? Are you talking about that movie?
That movie. So it's ironic. So he had an important role. It was a semi-important role. All right, but let's go back to, you said you felt disturbed. What did you feel disturbed about?
I think more so because a lot of times when you sit in the movie theater, you get that that cinema feeling. Like you go into the movie theater, you become a part of the movie. You leave the movie thinking about it. Yeah. You just can't, it consumes you. A lot of us can say that unless the movie was trash. But so what disturbed me, without giving you guys a spoiler, is basically how they tried to patch up after years of turmoil and things like that. And they tried to patch it up at the end with just, we're just going to do this.
Okay, I will say, if I wasn't going to
no
give
spoiler
it,
alert.
no spoiler, but if I wasn't going to give it 100%, which I want to give it 100%, if I were to give it a 99% score, it would be their resolution. Because their resolution was almost like a quick fix me up, in terms of the real tension. Like the resolution to the main plot was the end. Everybody knows that he's going to fight the other Panther, so that's not a spoiler. That was an amazing fight scene. It was very rewarding. Everything was, but the resolution to the real underlying problem that drove the villain. The villain wasn't just a one-dimensional villain. He was driven by pain. He was driven by disappointment. He was driven by abandonment. He was driven by the very things that drive me, to be honest with you, culturally. And so their resolution to the real problem that the villain represented was pretty empty.
I felt like you had like a Martin Luther King and a Malcolm X situation, right? And when you look at both people, you can see their plight. You can see their pain. You can see both of them, and you can understand each one and why the other person is choosing the life or whatever he wants
why
to
he
do,
made those
and the other
decisions.
person as well. And both of them have their wrongs as well.
Yeah.
You know, you have somebody who's complacent, and you have somebody who's willing to just
Do anything. By any means necessary.
But literally has a little bit of blinders on. His pain is his blinders. It's just, you know, all that, instead of looking at it another way. You know what I mean? But it was that good. But I saw the good in both of them. I did. I seen
Absolutely.
that. And we, like you said, as a black man, I believe that all black men should definitely look at both characters and see themselves in both characters. I feel like for the women, we saw ourselves. There was nowhere we were missed in that movie.
Y'all were represented in every corner.
Every single way, honey.
That was great. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are going to absolutely love it.
I can never pronounce her real
She's a
name. I'm
baddie.
not even going to try. Michonne was kicking ass in the movie.
It was amazing.
What's Lupita's last name?
Lupita Nyong'o.
She was amazing in the movie. I love the little sister in the movie.
She's so gorgeous, the little one.
Yeah, she's so tiny in
and
real
her
life.
Her spunk, her spunk and her like not wanting to be the typical girl or you know that whole female role. She's an innovator,
right,
okay,
right.
But without spoiling you guys, but you guys have to go see it. As I was saying before, Benjamin took over his own show. I didn't like he said, I didn't like the resolution, but I believe that it'll be more to come, only to show that just him doing that resolution or whatever the case may be, it's not going to be
enough.
It's not going to be enough.
It's not going to be enough. And it almost feels, the ending felt a little cliche, especially if you've been active in the black community for the last 50 years. In the last 50 years, the resolution is really, really cliche. So I definitely agree with you. That bothered me a little bit because the problems that the villain represented won't go away with the fix that the Panther decided. The fight scene, amazing. The action, amazing.
All of the fight scenes.
CGI, amazing. But the tension underneath, they really did address the Malcolm versus Martin kind of tension, and they did not have a resolution. And because they didn't, I think because there's no resolution in real life.
That's exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So I believe that they're going to give us a good part 2 about the situation. I don't care if they're going to be in whatever next Marvel movie. They need their own I guess, second edition of the movie. Here's the thing. And I think what they'll do in that case, because I believe that the producer of the movie, what's his name?
I forgot the producer's name. The director, Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler. I believe that he is much smarter than we would think him just to leave it like that.
Yeah.
If we were to do a second part of this movie, it would show how that isn't enough and what needs to be done underneath it.
I hope so. I
believe it.
I really
believe in him. With all his previous work, I believe it.
Yeah. But I think I want to piggyback on the part that it was disturbing. I think the most disturbing thing about it to me was that they couldn't write in a solution because we don't have a solution to the real problems that were caused by the abandonment of black people in America, snatched away from our native land. Yeah. And now it's like we're here and we're completely separated from all of the resources, heritage, culture. But the problem is, and what I was saying at the beginning is, in this fictional fantasy world, Wakanda still had all their resources because the Panther protected it. The reality is Africa is still being plundered by colonizers, neo-colonizers, which is now my favorite, refer to anybody who's speaking out of turn as a colonizer.
Colonizer, get back up off me. Get up off me.
But so all those themes weave into the movie beautifully. I don't know. What else was your takeaway from the movie?
I think I hate to say this, but I left feeling black and
you felt blacker?
I felt blacker. If I can get in, if you guys don't know how I look, but I'm pretty dark, and I felt blacker than that.
Yeah.
And
the only thing we didn't do was lift every voice and sing. If we had sang that,
it would have been
a complete.
But I got another opportunity. But this time I'm going to be in the movie with white folks, so I will definitely be humming it. And if somebody wants to add in, we'll get louder, and then we'll get louder, and then we're louder. When you said that it just shows how Africans, how in some places Africa is still being
plundered.
Plundered. Yeah, but people are like that. There, people are living actually like that, like Wakandians, people of Wakanda. You have people who are really doing good, black folks who are doing good and do not want to let in the Europeans or the colonizers and things like that. But then they don't want to let in other people. They don't want other people's problems either, because they feel like if we open this door, then we're going to get those issues. So we need to stay put how we are.
That's a good take. So we can jump off there, right? So what responsibility did the Wakandans actually have to, and this is a major theme throughout the entire comic book, so there's no spoiler in this. What's the responsibility that they have to not only black people around the world, but people around the world, poor and oppressed people around the world, and if we translate that into the real world, right? There is no Wakanda, but there are black people who are doing really good. All around the world. There are Haitians that are in Haiti that are doing amazing. There are Africans in Africa who are doing great. The different various countries. I know it's many countries, people. I just use that like in America. There's a lot of black people who are doing good. And what responsibility do they have to other people? Because the dilemma in the comic book series as well as in the movie is we only have so many resources, and if we start letting people in, or we can't take care of everybody. And it's funny because a lot of times black people in America, we look at the economic problems and we say, we look at the responsibility to uplift the entire community. And in this case, the Wakandans represented the bourgeoisie. They represented the elite. They represented people with power and resources who are holding it back from the impoverished.
And that's exactly because I understand. I've seen it in the Haitian community where you have these people who live a certain kind of way and don't want to reach back and help because they're afraid that they're going to let all this in, and now they too are going to be poor, or they're going to be in turmoil, they're going to be stressed, they're going to be whatever.
Right.
Sometimes people have this mindset where I've heard a lot of people on both sides say it's the life that they chose, and a lot of times it's not that. And I always say, listen, like even now I'm a Haitian American. I always say back to people when we're in our meetings and people are like, well, the Haitians are doing this and look what the Haitians are doing. I said, well, what are you doing, honey? Right. You can't sit here and say this is what happened. These are also your people at the end of the day. And you need to know that you need to go back and help some kind of way before you start talking, because at the end of the day, those are your people. Not everybody chose that life. You understand what has happened there, and if you don't educate yourself on what has happened there, these lives are not what these people want to choose.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's honestly, that's a lot of the overtones and
that's what I saw in the movie.
In the movie, right? We're cheering for them. We're cheering for the Wakandans because they are the Panther, the Black Panther. He's the hero, and of course, we're going to identify him because he's black. But in actuality, they had like hundreds of years of wealth that they did nothing to help anyone else out with. They had hundreds of years of advantage in technology, and they did nothing to help in terms of military to help their brothers right outside of their borders. So in a lot of ways, they represent everything that I would dislike right now today.
But that's what was important, and that's why I said there's so many messages in this movie. They had to show all parts of the black community, because it ain't all, everybody ain't as woke. Everybody ain't trying to fight for each other. Everybody just, some people come up and don't look back. That's what it is. They forget where they came from. And that's why I was like, a lot of this was in the movie. It was present day situations that we're still dealing with now. And I hope that when people go and see that, they wake up to that as well. Because when I left there, I'm like, you know what? Who am I? Am I a part of this shutout Wakanda crew? Towards my Haitian folks and towards my Black American folks? Well, like, am I part of that? Where I want to square off myself from a lot of people who don't have voices and can't speak for, and have been pushed down. And you know what I mean?
The irony of it being called Black Panther is I was doing research on the original Black Panther Party for self-defense, and they made it clear, we don't want the bourgeois blacks. We don't want the church-going blacks. We don't want the Muslim blacks that are all elite. They wanted people off the streets. And the irony of it is the Black Panther, T'Challa, is the elite of the elite, one of the richest people in the world. And so there's a disconnect there in terms of who he is and what his nation represents, and the plight of the people who are going to go see this movie, who are identified simply because he's black and, because it seems like a homage to our homeland. But there's still a huge disconnect because they weren't helping us. And
But
this is a
where
part of the movie.
That's where the other character comes in.
Yeah.
See,
The other character was
but
more
that's where
me.
people will connect with. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But at the same time, somebody had to wake that person up, because remember, this was generation to generation. Sometimes when you come up for money and things like that, you're not taught to look back. You're taught to just stick with your family.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this because I'm not saying I come from the elite, but I wasn't poor.
Bougie
and
ass.
But and my father would say, you stick with your family.
Yeah.
And a lot of times he didn't. I love my dad, mean it, but a lot of times it's kind of like what he came from. He didn't want us to ever be exposed to.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, yeah, Dad, I want to be exposed to that. I want to see where my family came from.
Yeah.
I want to know where they are, where they're planted. What we, I want to know all of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now he's just like, oh Lord.
And that is the difference between, and that's why there were two Black Panthers in there. There was the elite Black Panther, and then there was a guy who came up in the streets who fought his way, and he carried all of the bitterness, all of the baggage to the point of being a villain, like actually losing some of his sensibilities. But overall, I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of feel like the theme of By Any Means Necessary was, I identified with that more. And that's what made the ending so disappointing to me.
Because of but we'll see. I'm telling you, that's going to manifest in what happened. But because By Any Means Necessary had to wake up the Martin Luther King in the movie, he had to wake up and see, you know what? Let me try. He doesn't know how to.
So he doesn't know how to do it yet.
He doesn't know how to do it yet.
So he did the most cliche thing.
Yes, but then
he did the same thing white folks do when they try to fix a problem.
Yes.
And they be like, well, let's go and do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
But here's the case. No spoilers. He did it as a Black man instead of letting the others come and do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then he said, you know what? And no one else is going to try to do anything around this community, because I'm going to start taking care of all that's around it as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that spreads, and we'll see how, because I know there's going to be places where it falls, and with no spoil. I can't do this without no spoilers. So y'all got to go watch it on this Friday so we can come back and talk about it again. Okay?
No, I think we're doing.
Because I just want to get in. They don't understand where I'm trying to get to right here.
I understand, and as soon as you see the movie, you're going to understand. Go see the movie, but look at it through the lens of Martin and Malcolm, right?
Because at the end of the day, Benjamin, sorry, Ben, I don't know how they call you on the show, but you experience life in one way.
Yep.
And there's other people who experience life in another way. Yep. And sometimes you just got to get that woke. You got to. You know what's woke.
Crazy? This is how different everyone's lives are. So in the movie, no spoilers are here. T'Chaka is T'Challa's father. T'Chaka died. T'Challa loved his dad.
Yeah.
He loved his dad to the point of he didn't know if he can go on without his father.
His dad made no mistakes. His dad was perfect.
That was me. Me in real life is like, that's the kind of love I had from my dad. But I still identified more with the Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger character, because I grew up in that type of poverty. I grew up in that type of community, seeing that every single day. We weren't ever homeless, but we, I know what food stamps are. I know what WIC is. I know what going down to the, getting powdered milk and stuff is. I know what putting stuff on layaway and not being able to get it all out is. I know what seeing poverty around us does to a community. So it's like this is how mixed. You have to find yourself in the movie, and if I found myself in the movie, I'm right in the middle of those two guys.
Yeah, but that's important to say that you're right in the middle of the two guys, because you have one guy, like you were saying, he had this love for his father, he respected his father. His father could do no wrong. Killmonger, he didn't have that. He loved his dad, but all he had was just a few years with his father, and he couldn't love on his dad. He couldn't see what his dad was fighting for at the time. But then when he realized when he was older, he felt like he had to complete that fight for his father, and he didn't get a chance to have his father in his life, so he held that amongst him.
But
as well.
even when he did, he couldn't love him the way he wanted to.
Yeah, even because he was so cold-hearted.
Yeah.
He had no more love in him.
Yeah.
He said his father even asked him, "No tears for me." Sorry, spoiler. But if we look at that right there, and his father was like, "Look, I don't want you to be like that." When he's whatever.
But it was too late.
And then with the other one was like, "But Dad, you told me to be this man, and you're
not even living up to it."
See, so both of them had this type of situation going on, and it was like intertwined some kind of way. So the dad wasn't as perfect as T'Challa thought, and then the other one wanted his son to be more of a lover, and not be that hard of a person.
Well,
yet life
made him hard.
Yes,
life made him hard. Circumstances.
His own people made him that way.
Yep. And that is the complexity of this movie, because underneath all of that, you still have this question of representation, right? And this will be the last part. The representation, like, we see ourselves in this movie. I want my kids to see this movie because I want to see these amazing images of blackness, black strength, strong black women, amazing black relationships, father and son, the difference between a broken father and son relationship and a healthy father and son relationship, and then realizing your father isn't everything you thought he was going to be. All those things of representation I want them to see. But in reality, most of that, what you see on screen, is not, and not just from fictitious. Of course, it's fiction. It's a superhero. But the representation of black success is something that so many black people just don't have any kind of connection to. And that's a sad part for me, too.
A lot of black people don't have that. And that's what I mean. We should be fighting for that in a way. And it's like, even if I can say this a million times, not everybody's going to see it the same way. Not everybody's going to see it the same way. And I also believe that we're all going to grab something different from it. I'm not going to knock how you feel because of your experience in life. And don't knock how I feel because of my experience in life. But at the end of the day, it all
your
comes...
Your experience doesn't matter.
Okay. And then we all come together and we can just say, this is what I've been through. This is what I, growing up like this and da-da-da-da.
Sorry, audience. That's how we joke with each other like that.
Yeah.
She knows I'm playing, right?
Yeah, I know you're playing.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, that's what I got.
All right. So earlier we were talking about the original Black Panther Party, Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, and the comic, and the connection between the two. So you were saying?
I was saying that the connection between the two, the
party,
the party came out first, and then
right. So I was just watching it last night, so the date's fresh on my head. The Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, founded in 1965, shortly after Malcolm X was killed.
Yeah,
and I just looked it up. The comic book came out in 1966. Stan Lee, who's like everything, actually looked to the Black Panthers, obviously, as an inspiration. Matter of fact, Stan Lee is so woke, I guess. I'll say that. The concept in X-Men, his main comic book, is the fight between Professor X and Magneto. Professor X wants to work peacefully. Magneto wants to work by any means necessary. A lot of people say that came directly from his influences of watching Malcolm X and Dr. King. So a lot of what Stan Lee did was based on the Black Civil Rights Movement and the internal struggles in our own movement. You
know what I read also? That the Storm was, for people who are not into the Marvel comics or things like that, Storm is actually married to
T'Chaka.
T'Chaka,
yeah. She was married
not
briefly.
T'Challa.
No, I'm sorry. My bad. You're right.
Like, okay,
T'Challa. I was wrong. T'Challa. Yeah, they were married briefly, but in the comic, it wasn't really a deep, meaningful
they said,
relationship.
but then they had a kid.
Yeah, it was.
So it's just very strange.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to play up on that in the series. I'm glad he had Lupita. Well, that's not a spoiler. Yeah. I think everybody got that. Lupita's character,
but
Shuri.
Michael B. Jordan, my God.
He looked good in the movie. He looked better in the question and answer session.
No, he looked good in the movie, in the question and answer, on the red carpets that I've seen all week.
Yeah. Everywhere. He looked good everywhere.
He was so handsome. But yes, you guys check out the movie.
Yep.
And, tell Benjamin what you think about it, because I would like to know. And tell me, which end are you on? Who do you more feel like you're related to?
Yeah. Do you believe more in T'Challa's solution or Killmonger's solution? Because
and I feel like
I think both of them have merits.
Yeah. And I think I'm more of a mix of Michonne and Lupita's character.
So Michonne was the loyal general who had to serve the throne.
Loyal to her people.
And Lupita's character was
she
was a spy, and she was the one who really, she had the same idea as Killmonger.
Yeah,
we should be using our resources.
Yes, but she wanted it without the violence.
Right.
See, that's.
But sometimes,
like I said, she wanted it without.
Sometimes violence is necessary.
He was willing to kill his own.
Yeah,
he said kids, and
he did what he had to do.
That's a problem.
Well,
but
I'm just saying, at some point, at some juncture, we can't roundly say that violence is never necessary, because look at America. America has always used violence to get everything that we have.
And if you put your hands on me, you're gonna catch these hands. I don't care how bougie or how poor I can be. You're gonna catch these hands, especially if you're a colonizer. So Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.
Wakanda
Rebecca,
forever.
thanks so much for hanging out with me. Tell everybody how to get up with you.
You can get up on me. You can get up on on me. You can get up. It's Valentine's Day. You can get up with me on Twitter at Rebecca Zor, RebeccaZor. And I always say, if you love on me there, you will get so much love back.
Okay. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me. Everybody, go see the movie. Send me a voicemail. Let me know what you think. And what did you think of our review? I don't think we spoiled anything. And I think we gave you... You spoiled one little piece, but that was I forgot about it already. Just don't hit rewind and listen to that little spoiler. But it's pretty much, it's 99% spoiler free. That's the name of today's show. All right, take care, everybody.
Wakanda forever. I love how Michonne says it.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.